Hey fish friends, how's it going? Hope you're doing well. Zenzo with Tazawa Tanks. So normally I would be down in the fish room making a video about something, but we are upstairs today in my office. This happens to be the room that I spend the most amount of time in besides sleeping in my bed. And today we're up here because I want to talk about one of my favorite aquariums, which is also probably one of my easiest aquariums, but it's not without its problems, and that's my 40-gallon shrimp tank. Now, back in 2022, it's been probably, I want to say about 11 months or so since we've had this tank set up. My idea was I wanted to create a planted aquarium that only had shrimp. Now, I've made videos in the past talking about how I failed at shrimp miserably and kind of all that stuff. Well, this was a success, and I just wanted to kind of give you kind of almost a 1 year later update. So basically this is a 40-gallon aquarium. It's not exactly a 40 breeder. I don't know the exact dimensions. It's almost identical to a 40 breeder. But what I did is I put a base layer of crushed coral, then we put some gravel down, obviously a bunch of root tabs for a bunch of the plants in there. And then I just ordered a bunch of plants from Aquarium Co-op. Now I do work for Aquarium Co-op, so I didn't pay for the plants, but I did get a bunch of them. And then basically everything in here is, besides the substrate, is stuff that I got from Aquarium Co-op. So we've got CO2 running on this tank. I'm using fertilizers, easy root tab, easy green, all the plants obviously, and sponge filter, heater, etc. Now I do have a couple of fish in there, well, 3 technically. I've got 2 autosynclus in there that are always hiding, and I basically only see them when I do a water change. And I have a guppy in there, 1 sole male guppy. Now we'll talk about that guppy when I tell you what's wrong with this aquarium. Other than that, just a bunch of plants and a bunch of cherry shrimp. Now I was not great at keeping shrimp in the past with multiple different tanks, multiple different times, but for some reason it just works in this aquarium and my shrimp are doing well. At one point I had too many. They were just making babies, and there's little shrimplets or shrimpettes or whatever you call them swimming around and all over the place. It's calmed down a little bit to where it's kind of more of a balanced amount. I don't know exactly how many shrimp are in there because I don't count them, but there's easily 30 plus shrimp in there. Now before I get into the problem that I'm having with this aquarium currently, I want to talk about all the things that are working well. For one, the plants are doing great. It's pretty much an aquarium where I pretty much set it and forget it when it came to the plants. So obviously I used a lot of fertilizers for the root feeders. In here we've got sword plants, we've got a lot of crypts in here. So I've got like Crypt lutea, Crypt parva, Crypt wendtii green, Crypt wendtii red. We have a dwarf red aquarium lily, and then we've got Monte Carlo that is finally starting to carpet along the bottom of the aquarium where I have substrate. So my goal eventually is for that Monte Carlo to kind of creep around and cover maybe like half of the aquarium. And we're almost there, so it's doing a really good job. So the plants are doing well. There is CO2 in here, so it's getting a little bit of a boost, and I'm using lots of fertilizer. As far as the bubbles, it's only like maybe 2 bubbles a second, so it's not very high on the CO2 bubble count. Now what's great about it, besides just being a lush planted aquarium with very little lifting as far as the plants are concerned, the water parameters or the water quality is great. It's always testing not very high on the nitrate level. Obviously the plants are consuming a lot of that, so I try to keep it like in a 20, 25, 30 range parts per million. It never goes higher than that. I've got to add fertilizer to keep it above 20, otherwise the plants consume it all. No ammonia, no nitrate, anything like that. I do have a heater in there, as I mentioned before, because I am keeping some fish. But I also don't have it cranked up because I have shrimp in there. So I keep it at 74 degrees, and that seems to work out for everybody. I also have a mono shrimp in there, which I might not have shared initially. And I did put in a snail. Now, as you can see, the lights just turned off because this is on a timer. I used a Casa Wi-Fi timer, and it happens to be 7:30 p.m. So the lights went off. So let me grab my phone and turn it back on. All right, with the magic of editing, the lights are back on. So anyway, fish are fine, shrimp are doing well. The plants are doing really well. It's been a very, very easy tank for me to maintain. I don't do a whole lot of water changes because the water quality seems to be good, but I do water changes every once in a while for mineral content, etc. One of the things that's not great in here, despite my best efforts, is that I have some duckweed in here. When I first set it up, I was very careful to not have any duckweed, but I did have some cross-contamination from one of my other aquariums in this room, and a couple little pieces got in there unnoticed, and then they made more. So every once in a while, I've got to go in with a vacuum and suck out some duckweed, but it's not too bad. Now, the real problem that I'm having right now is with pests. So I actually have a problem with Hydra, and I have a problem with Planaria. The reason why I put the guppy in there, and I said, we'll save that for later. The reason why I put the guppy in there is I wanted to have a fish that wasn't gonna like take over the tank, wasn't gonna predate on the shrimp too much, although I do suspect that it's picking off some of the babies. So I am gonna pull that guppy out. But my idea was that maybe the guppy would pick off the Planaria and the Hydra. So in all of my other aquariums, I've seen Planaria before every now and then, but it never has a chance to take off and spread because the fish will eat them. So basically, little worms or whatever it is, fish sees it, grabs it, eats them, and that's that. Now in this case, the guppy that I put in there leaves him alone. He's picked at him a couple times, spit him out. Not interested, probably hunts and grabs some baby shrimp every now and then. So I'm gonna pull that guppy out. I've got to figure out a way to control the Planaria and the Hydra. I've thought about just not feeding the tank for a while and kind of letting them die out. Maybe use some chemicals, but I'm afraid to harm anything. So if you have any ideas on getting rid of Planaria and Hydra in a planted aquarium with shrimp, and without using fish, let me know down below in the comments, as I would very much like some tips on that. Okay, next day, Zenzo here. Actually, my editor, Matt, Mr. Editor Extraordinaire, is working on the video, and he messaged me and said, hey, have you tried not feeding your aquarium as far as dealing with Hydra? So I just wanted to just add this quick little section and say, yes, I have tried not feeding. In fact, I didn't feed the tank for 2 weeks, and I still saw Hydra in there. And then also, if you recall, another recent video that I made where I traveled and didn't feed my aquariums for 9 days, that was another time when I didn't feed the tank. So it's gone through 2 kind of mini fasting stages, one being 9 days, one being about 14 or so days. And it's still not where I want it to be. So if you have an idea, besides not feeding the aquarium, or if it needs to go longer than 2 weeks, then let me know down below in the comments. So anyway, just wanted to add this real quick in case everyone's in the comment section saying, yeah, don't feed your tank, ding dong. Yep, tried it. But besides that, the little problem with the pests, everything else seems to be fine. I don't believe that the Planaria or the Hydra are causing a problem when it comes to my shrimp, although it can be irritating, as I have seen a Hydra sting a shrimp and it basically swam off and said leave me alone and went somewhere where there wasn't any Hydra. But I do want to get rid of them, or at least try to control them, and putting in a fish that's going to eat them may not be an option for me because of my shrimp in there. So it is one of my favorite tanks. I do believe that it's beautiful. I like to look at it. I kind of like that it's turning into a jungle. I also like to just stare and look at the purling with the bubbles coming off of the plant. So anyway, let me know down below in the comments if you've kept the shrimp only tank. What do you think about mine? If you have tips for Planaria and Hydra, let me know down below in the comments. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, all that good stuff. I'll catch you on the next one.